When I met Willie, he was laying carpet. That was his job. He was laying carpet, and that's how he made a living. He had a wife and children, and that's how he made a living. He wasn't doing much. He was active in Scientology. He was active in Narconon in a PR way, but nothing more than that. I joined Narconon in 1974 in El Paso, Texas. I didn't join because I was a drug addict. Two of my friends with whom I'd had some lengthy discussions about philosophy and metaphysics had talked to me about it, and they said, well, you know, you think the way Scientologists think, you should go down there and talk to those guys. There's some down at Narconon, but don't just walk in there and lay down, you know, make them sell you on the idea and make them do this and make them do that. So I went down there one day and I, with the idea that maybe it would be a good idea for me to join staff and get what they had to give. And of course they promised me all sorts of things, and they failed to deliver, not because they didn't really want to, but they can't. They don't have it to deliver. It's not there. While I was there at Narconon, I worked directly with some clients who were addicted to heroin. Most of the time, though, I was in charge of personnel and ethics matters. After being there for about 6 months, I was walking down the stairs at our Narconon building, and I saw a poster on the wall, and I looked at that poster, and a thought came to me. We work really hard. This is on the outskirts of Scientology. We were 800-900 miles away from Los Angeles, so we were quite a ways away from any big organization, and we didn't have much. The only contact we had was with ourselves within that organization right there, within Narconon. So there's a lot of things we didn't know. But I looked at this poster on the wall, and I went, you know, I really don't feel like we're making that much progress here. I see some people coming in, and you know, maybe one a week, maybe one every 2 weeks, and maybe they get off drugs and maybe they don't. But it just didn't seem to be moving as quickly as I thought it should be moving, and we worked really hard. We worked from 9 o'clock in the morning until 10 or 10:30 at night, and that was 5 days a week. And then on Saturdays and Sundays, we generally worked until from 9 to 6 on Saturday and Sunday, so we had no time off. We weren't in the Sea Org like these other staff members were that are up here, but we worked some pretty long hours. Not 100 hours a week, though, not like Mark did. So I looked at this and I said, I think I've made a mistake. I probably shouldn't be here, and I certainly don't want to go where Mr. Hubbard is, because if we work this hard out here on the outskirts, what must it be like where he is? And I don't want to do that. You know, I just didn't want to do that. It wasn't that much fun, and I couldn't see that it would get any more fun if we worked longer and harder. So I made a vow at that point never to go and work where Mr. Hubbard was. I wouldn't mind seeing him. He was still my idol, that sort of thing. It was all good. I just wasn't going to go work there. While I worked at Narconon, I heard of and I witnessed a lot of incidents that have stayed with me. I had signed a 2.5-year contract to work there, and it only took me 3.5 years to finish that 2.5-year contract. Scientology has a saying, it takes as long as it takes. My wife and I have a saying, in Scientology, it always takes longer than it takes. And we found that to be true with almost anyone who goes into Scientology. If you go to Flag and you're supposed to be there for a week, you could be there for a month. We found that to be true over and over again. One of the abuses that I saw, though, one time at Narconon was one of the salespeople, a lady, failed to meet her sales quota one week, and so the executive director took her out to teach her a lesson, and he took her out in the back of behind Narconon, and we had a pile of bricks out there, and there was a wall, and he made her pick up bricks and throw them at the wall, and she spent the afternoon throwing bricks at the wall and breaking the bricks into little pieces. And when they were all thrown at the wall and broken into little pieces, then she had to get the little pieces and throw them at the wall and break them into further little pieces. And I guess they probably spent about 3 or 4 hours doing that. Her arm must have been very, very, very sore. not to mention being tired. And none of us did anything about that. None of us thought about doing anything about that. It was a totalitarian system. There was no way you could go up and protest that. You had no say. It was not a democracy. And if you did, then you might be the next in line to do that. And Wilfred's statement about 1984, I can't tell you how many times I've thought about Scientology in the book 1984. The parallels are just tremendous there. And that was the sort of thing that would occur. Another time in 1975, a mother paid to have her son come in to get detoxified at Narconon. And he came in on a Sunday afternoon, and it usually took about 3 days for people to kick the habit of heroin and not be addicted to heroin for physically in about 3 days, sometimes 72 hours. That was pretty much the norm. Well, he comes in Sunday afternoon. Sunday night, he tells his consultant, counselor, whatever you want to call him, he says, I want some Valium. I want my Valium. And the counselor says, well, you can't have them. You can't have Valium. You know, you came in here to get off drugs. We're going to get you off drugs. The guy goes, no, you don't understand. I came in here to get off heroin. Valium's the prescription drug. That's my doctor gave me. I want my Valium. Well, at Narconon, you can't really take drugs, and you're not supposed to. So the guy couldn't get his drugs, and he was very disheartened by that. The next morning, he got up and took a shower, and he found a pair of scissors while he was out, and he came back to the room where he was because someone was with him 24 hours a day. They put him in a room, and he had 3 people, each had an 8-hour shift, and they would stay with him 24 hours a day. So he came back with the scissors, and the next morning, and he says, okay, look, if you don't give me my Valium, I'm leaving. They said, no, we can't do that. So he pulls out the scissors, and he goes, get out of the way, because it was when a person is being taken off drugs, the person that is in charge always stands between the door and the person coming off the drugs. You don't let them out. They can't leave. So he says, move away from the door, or I'm going through you with the scissors. Well, the guy moved away from the door under threat of bodily harm. The guy ran down the stairs, he ran across the street, he ran down a parking lot, vacant lot, jumped off a wall about 15 feet down, about 5 meters, ran down an alley, and by that time, the guy that had been threatened with the scissors came up and said, hey, he's gone, he ran away. Well, we had to get everybody together and go chase him down. By that time, he had gone into some house and hidden. We didn't know which house he was in. We just knew that he had ran across the street and down the alley. We didn't know where he was, so there were about 6 of us out chasing, trying to find this guy, trying to get him back. When they say you can't leave Scientology, you couldn't leave Narconon either. It didn't matter whether you wanted to or not. A moment later, a cab pulled up in front of a house. The guy comes running out, jumps into the cab, and is telling the cab driver, let's get out of here. The 6 of us surrounded the cab. The poor cab driver freaked out. He didn't know what to do. What would you do? Somebody jumps in your car, and then you're surrounded by 6 guys. So finally, the cab driver did move away. It started to pull away, and we got out of the way and let him go. He did not come back. He never came back to Narconon. He was not happy with what was going on there.